I'll introduce you a little bit too. So, everyone who might not be watching, this is Ron Smith. He is a realtor here at Keller Williams Island Life Real Estate. Is a good mentor, friend of mine. He is our productivity coach. So, newer agents who come in, or seasoned agents who come in and just need to kind of refine their footing into the market, find the right activities, habits that will yield them, what they're looking for, and having good lives in real estate. Where you're an entrepreneur here when you come in. No one's really hand holding you, so you come in and you help people out. And so I got a couple questions for you, and I'm going to give you a question that we hear a lot, and we try to tell people we don't try to predict it, but where do you see the market going, and then why?
Okay, so, and this is a question I answer a lot, and I am not afraid to give my opinion. I see the market going a little bit, depreciating a little bit more for another 1 to 3 years, depending on the interest rates and where they're at.
Yeah.
I don't see it going down very much because it's gone down about 75 to 80% of what I think it's going to depreciate total, getting back to that 4% appreciation line. And I think the market will flatten out for a while. How long that is, again, depends on the interest rates, with which are supply and demand, really. So, and then I think after that, the market will appreciate normally. As long as we don't have any recessions or any outside influences. But that's how I think the market's gonna.
Okay, but why? What has led you to think that?
Well, that's what I predicted about 3 years ago, or at the end of COVID. I thought when we here in Florida, homes were very affordable from 2009 to 2019. Okay, so during that time, very affordable. Interest rates were great, and prices were actually low, and especially on this coast of Florida, on the West Coast. In 2019, 2020 through 22. We had great appreciation there, some years 35%, and it put us up too high. And the problem is right now, affordability is here and prices are here because we have a market that is, it really moves quickly according to market conditions because we have so many people that have paid cash for homes, they have second homes, so they can sell them or not sell them. They don't have to move, they don't have to sell, they don't have to do anything. So they're just doing, their market decisions are based, or their decisions on selling their house are based on the market. And so that's why we had about 1,300 homes here in Northport on the market for sale just a couple of months ago. And now we're down in the 800s again, getting closer to a more traditional number as far as months of inventory. We were up at 9 and 10 and 11 months, and now we're back down to about 6 months. And to be perfectly honest, we haven't had that many sales. About 40% of all the homes that go on the market now are either canceled, withdrawn, or expire. That means 60% do sell, but sometimes it takes a couple of different realtors to get them sold.
Yeah. That makes sense. I mean, we always say sometimes it's better to be the second or third realtor listing a property. So if someone's trying to list it at an unreasonable price, or we know the market conditions the way it is because we're professionals, we're in it.
Yeah.
We see it, we talk it every day, and if it's unreasonable or unlikely, it's a waste of money actually to take that listing at times. But here's the thing though, people still have to sell. Life still happens. Life is lifing, right?
Yeah.
Life is lifing to me, you, and everyone right now, and there's still people that that could be holding them back. Life is lifing, and they're not pricing their home to sell, and they're finding out the hard way because it's on the market too long.
Yeah, and I mean the best kind of client to have is a motivated client, whether it's a buyer or seller. But the best seller to have is someone that's willing to price their home at market value. Now, where that is, the buyers determine. The group of buyers looking that month or at that time, they're the ones that get to pick where the prices are. And with new construction forcing prices down, that kind of helped us a little bit. These interest rates kind of went into, they were high for they were not historic highs, they were certainly recent highs. And people who were new to the market look at these as, I've never seen them this high. But if interest rates get down into the fives, but somewhere between 4 and 6, I think that's the kind of life we're going to have, certainly over the next 3 or 4 years. So.
You know, I think that when I hear that, people always say, "Oh, well, yeah, I'm waiting for that to happen. I'm waiting for the interest rate to drop to this," and it feels like they keep saying, "Oh, they're gonna come out, whoever they are, right? They're gonna come out and say that the rates are gonna drop by the end of the year." They've been saying that since 2023.
Yeah.
Now it's 2025.
Yeah.
2 years of, and I fell into the trap 2023 where I said, "Okay, yeah, I could see it. You know, maybe into early 2024, and things start to change, and you know, they just have continued to what I think normalize."
Yeah.
Right. Now, if you were a buyer, it's a great. I would say this is the best buyer's market we had in a long time. I've said it multiple times, but here's the thing. And the buyers you're watching this, you guys are being hesitant, and there's great deals right here. And what I'm noticing is buyers know it's a great market, and they know they have leverage, and they haven't had leverage in the last 3-4 years, whatever it was, during the pandemic. And there's a lot of great options, but we're holding out for something perfect. And I would hate for people to miss out on something great while they're looking for perfect. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I mean, I think it is, like I just mentioned before, I think prices have corrected themselves about 75 to 80% of where they are going to correct themselves. And I really think that it's a good time to buy. The rates might be a little bit higher than you like, but I am optimistic that in the next few years that you'll be able to refinance, and that way you'll get the right price and get the right rates. And this is the best market we've had since 2019.
Yeah.
So since COVID, since pre-COVID, when houses were affordable, they are affordable again. You're starting to see numbers and prices in a reasonable area. And you can tell, I mean, it is good when there's a lot of choices for buyers. Buyers get to pick a lot of things, and that obviously forces sellers to either have a special home or a special price. So if their home isn't special, then their price needs to be.
What's your take on land? Because we're in an area where there is a lot of land relatively cheap. And I know, you've had a conversation, and land has depreciated in Northport specifically year over year, three years in a row. And but relative cost of where land is cheap to be 20 miles from the coastline.
Yeah.
So what's your take on people who buy land and hold, or buy land, and I know people try to flip them. That's harder to do.
Flipping is really difficult right now, although you can do it. If you get a great deal on a vacant lot or a piece of land, great. That is great. If you're paying market value for a vacant lot or for vacant land, it is not a good long-term investment. If you're looking to build a house or something in the next 3 to 5 years, then certainly look for a nice lot and find one. But yeah, just like residential property, vacant land has depreciated since 2022 also. In Northport, it reached its peak of about $22,000 a lot in 2022. It is now at about $17,000 a lot. So it's dropped $5,000 or about.
Now there's averages though, because
that's an average.
We see some bigger lots, easements, oversized canals, quiet neighborhood, whatever it may be, or more developed areas go for more, and then obviously some really undeveloped areas. I mean, we're seeing people buying lots for under $10,000 again. But you said buying land now and holding it long term is not a good investment. Define long term. Are we talking about 5 years? We're talking about 15, 20 years.
So here,
15, 20 years, you think.
So here is the problem with vacant lots long term. Taxes on vacant lots are just for again, I live in Northport. Just for Northport, if you have a vacant lot and you pay $10,000, your taxes are going to be between $500 and $800 a year. So in 10 years, you're going to pay between $5,000 and $8,000 a year. If you put that money somewhere else, you would have about 10 grand with an investment that gives you something back. Is your lot going to appreciate by 10 grand in that time? No, it won't. If you look at lots since Northport's been developed, 1959, they've appreciated between 1 and 1.5 on the average. And again, this is just an average. If you pay market value, if you pay less than market value, you should turn around and flip it and make your money, get it right away before you have to pay taxes and hold it for a few years. And again, the exception to that is if you are going to build a house. If you're going to build some property, you want to buy a couple of lots, great. Get them and hang on to them. You got them, pay them off, whatever. But if you're looking to invest just in raw land here in Florida, unless you're a developer or something like that, it is not a good long-term investment just to hold single family home lots.
Yeah, that makes it, the path is in the math, right? We always say
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
You know, if you're holding, so, and the lots, there's not enough scarcity for them yet. So I know, like, the argument for that, the devil's advocates had to say, well, when, you know, God's not making any more land, that whole quote, and that's true. But there's Northport in particular, relatively new, is 105 square miles, which I thought, I came from a big town in New Jersey, and I looked up, we were 8.8 square miles. I was thinking, wow.
Yeah, 1/12 the size of Northport.
Yeah.
Northport's about, about 10 years ago, we said it was 30% developed. Let's call it 40% developed now.
Yeah.
And
no, but 40% developed, but like they've been developing since the 60s. Now that there's been hot spurs where they're developed more,
certainly
slowed down, developed more, slowed, and we could tell. We know old Northport from 75 and 85, and you know, then we had the big boom between the late 90s and early 2000s, and then it slowed down. Now we have the big ramp up of builds again, but still we're talking about 50 years or 60 years, whatever it may be, and only 40%. So unless you're gonna hold the land until we're 90%, you're gonna hold it for 60 years.
Land being scarce isn't gonna happen for a while. Northport is platted for 250,000 people, and we're gonna go over 100,000 next year. So that's about 40% of it. Port Charlotte, which is adjacent to Northport and was platted at the same time, they've got even more vacant lots for sale in Charlotte County. So where there's about 1,700 here in Northport, there's about twice that's for sale in Port Charlotte, and their price point is a little bit lower for the same lot. And again, I'm running off an average of a 10,000 square foot lot, typically 80 by 125, 80 feet wide, 125 feet deep, that requires well and septic. Those are most of the lots. There are some with city sewer and water, some that are waterfront. There are exceptions to everything. I'm just giving you an average here.